I forgot to Cool. So, sorry about that, guys. I'm a little nervous, if you can't tell. And the nerves are mainly because I am sharing all. This is all me. So anyway, thank you, Keisha. Awesome. So I love that. It's really hard. And I struggled with the same thing, believe it or not, like for years. How do I stand out? How do I make a difference? The problem that most people face is that they're applying to countless jobs and they're networking tirelessly, but they're doing it wrong. Most people are trying to apply to as many jobs as possible, hoping something will stick, to network on LinkedIn. They're reaching out to their connections. They don't really have a strategy or personalized engagement. They're just like, I need to reach out to people. I keep hearing that. And honestly, people are trying to just do extensive resume edits without really understanding what makes a resume stand out to recruiters. So that's really difficult. And honestly, no one teaches this, right? Like, so we're all kind of taking a shot in the dark. Um, and I'm like most people, and I have failed trying the following. Like, I've done the blanket job applications. I focus solely on job boards. I have undervalued the importance of personal branding. Like, I've ignored the power of informational interviews. I've sent those generic networking messages on LinkedIn, and I have at one point had several very overly complicated resumes tailored to each job, really trying to find the ways to stand out. And what I discovered was applying to countless jobs without tailoring my approach, it resulted in minimal responses and a lot of wasted effort. If you rely only on job boards, that means that you're missing out on the hidden job market and more personalized application channels. You ever hear about people that are like, they just tapped me on the shoulder and told me, and then they're like, oh, I know somebody. Not leveraging informational interviews to gain insights in my industry, not slowing down. It's always like, what am I doing wrong? And just kind of beating the dead horse. Underestimating the power of personal branding on platforms like LinkedIn. It's limited my ability to be visible to employers and be found. Mass messaging didn't build my network quickly. Instead, it rarely led to meaningful connections. And packing my resume with industry jargon and complex descriptions, it didn't impress employers. It often just confused them and got me rejected instantly. So I have been there. If you've done those things, don't worry. But that's when I discovered the opportunity magnet method. And since moving to this opportunity magnet method, I've been able to dramatically increase the response rate from job applications, build a powerful professional brand, streamline the job search process, enhance networking strategies, and gain a deep understanding of my value in the job market. And it has changed everything for me and for my friends, my family, my clients. And I'm happy to share this with you today because my goal is really to help you become an opportunity magnet. So at the end of this training today, I want you to feel more confident in your job search strategy. You're going to learn how to stand out amongst other applicants and get more interviews and gain clarity on what works and what doesn't and how to move forward to get what you want. Sound good? Awesome, awesome. So we'll kick it off. We'll start with the power of personal branding. Everyone's been talking about personal branding, but no one's telling you how to do it. So we're going to kind of go in this. So basically, building your personal brand, it's really just a strong online presence. It's your reputation, right? It sets you apart from other candidates. It showcases your unique identity in a sea of resumes. And a strong personal brand not only helps you get noticed by recruiters and hiring managers, but it also positions you as an expert in your field. Being a thought leader, attracting opportunities directly to you. It just really transforms the job search from more of a passive activity and kind of waiting for people to reach out to you or, seeing what you can get, seeing what job you can find to an active engagement with your community, making you a magnet that aligns with your career goals. So I know everyone's always like, well, how do I do this? So, really, I have some pointers here. I'm all about very quick, short, actionable steps to get you results. So, know what makes you special and your strengths. Everyone is different. Know what that is. If you love data, if you're like, oh my God, I love spreadsheets, this is like my favorite thing ever, that's your thing. just because you feel like something comes second nature to you doesn't mean that it comes second nature to everyone. So keep that in mind that your strengths are your own. Highlight your wins and expertise. If you get a shout out at work, or you volunteer, or you run a 5K, like highlight those. If you attended a training, keep people informed with what you're doing, because if you do it in silence, no one's going to know how much you're working on yourself, how much you're learning, what you're kind of focused on. And even just, I'm sure you guys have seen it. It's inspiring when you see someone that's like attending conferences and you're like, wow, that person really knows what they're doing. But how many of us have done that before? We've all have, right? We've all sat in trainings like today. We're all in this workshop. Engage with your network, comment on other people, you know, comment on people that comment on yours. Tell your story. And we'll talk a little bit later about what your career story is. And being consistent is key. You don't have to post 5 times a day, every single day. If you're going to show up, try it once a week. That way people can start to expect to see you, twice a week, even if it's a quick update. And ask for opinions, and update your strategy often. It's really helpful to ask just someone you might know, like, hey, what have you been thinking? And you'll honestly get more reception too. People will reach out to you and be like, wow, good job. I see you're doing great things. So those are just some tidbits on how you can easily build your personal brand and what to think about. So we're going to have a little activity here. And feel free to put it in the chat or to just call it out. But who would you rather reach out to? Would you rather reach out to the person on the left or the person on the right? Okay. Nice. The person on the right. And why is that, you think? I can say that when I look at the person on the left, you're like, okay, who is this person? Are they real? Are they, is that a fake profile? The person on the right, the profile is more detailed, it's more engaging. And really, there's not very much difference other than the professional picture, the cover. And honestly, it looks so much different. So keep that in mind, because I know a lot of people are like, I don't want to put a picture on there and I don't want to, do that, but it does. It feels more personal. And if you're feeling drawn to this, a recruiter, hiring manager, they will feel more drawn. Yeah, it's engaging. It feels more personal. That's how it will feel. Now, this is these are screenshots of what recruiters see when we are looking for resumes on LinkedIn using LinkedIn Recruiter. So we don't see the entire profile, but we do see what you see here, pictures, we see titles, we see, the jobs and dates, the types of skills that match with the job that we've posted, if the person has qualifications that match the position. So this is, if you're doing an easy apply, this is what the recruiters will see on the other end. And oftentimes, to be completely honest, I don't need to click into your profile to tell if you're a fit. So I can just literally scan through this and say, okay, is this person a fit or not? It's a very quick decision. Think of it as online dating and that swipe, right? It's not long. It takes like a quick second. So I show this to you so that you can kind of see and think about how you want to show up online and how you want to be perceived in your profile. Anyone have any thoughts on this before we move forward? Questions? All right, cool. And of course, action items. So you can improve your profile in just 5 minutes. Just do a quick audit. Is your full name on there? I've seen like Gemma C or Gemma M, or, the last initial. I think that's completely fine, but your full name will always be much more preferred, right? Do you have a professional headshot and a background picture? Your background cover picture, it doesn't have to be your company. It could be your favorite quote. It could be a picture of your city. It could be, I've had books on mine because I love to read. Just put something on there to kind of fill the space, right? Look at your headline and your about section. The about section is your summary. A fun fact is that everything is searchable. So if you Google yourself, your LinkedIn profile comes up first. And with your headline, those keywords are searchable. So think about that when you're putting that together. Sometimes you want to be kitschy and you're like, oh, cute, and, digital groundbreaking, like master. But think about if someone were to search for you or search for jobs, like for applicants, what would they want to put? So, I mean, I think keywords in there would be great. I've seen people put their job title, but then they put like AWS and, other types of things like Amazon Central or Vendor Central or, software developer. And then they'll put like a couple of things, but just keep in mind that that is searchable. So you want to make sure that you have keywords that someone would type in to look for you. Your contact information. There are spots that you can put your contact information in your about. Hey, thanks for viewing my profile. If you're interested in chatting further, email me. You don't have to put your cell phone number on there, but any type of contact information so that someone can contact you. Make sure that your experience, your education, and your skills are completely filled out, because as we looked at a previous slide, that's what the recruiters will see when they're searching for you on LinkedIn Recruiter. So you want to make sure that your job titles are intact, the dates are in there, and that everything is filled out to completion. And then recommendations are always great. Recruiters may not be reading your profile that carefully, but I will tell you that hiring managers always will. They always will dive in there. They'll read about recommendations. They'll like scour through someone's profile. So just keep that in mind. And it's something that's super easy, but this is just ways to improve your profile in 5 minutes. Just really quick, just a quick sweep through. And then now we'll talk a little bit more, shifting gears into posting. My thought on this is, how do you want to be perceived and what impression do you want to leave? So I took these screenshots simply from my feed, and I see a lot of these from, a lot of people that have recently been laid off or, any types of updates. But one of the things that I want everyone to be cognizant of and to think about is, how do you want to be perceived? How much do you want to share? And how do you think that impression will affect your future boss or your future, coworkers? So I'll kind of take some context. I know there's a lot. But this one person on the left said, I hate to burst your bubble, but you won't consider me for a role because you don't think my profile picture meets your standards. I don't want to work with you or your company that you represent anyway. If in case you wonder why people complain about recruiters so much, here is why. So just initially, like, how does that make you feel? Right. And as a recruiter, I'm like, sorry. Like, everyone's different, right? I don't mind. I don't really look at people's profile pictures, but this person still, I'm like, you just will always have an assumption. We're human, right? We'll always have a first impression. The person on the right, hey, LinkedIn fam, unfortunately, the layoff gods have finally come for your boy. He's in marketing. So, be casual if that's what you want to leave that impression as. But one thing that stood out to me in this post is he's asking for one of 3 things: any job leads, for coffee, and, please post a reply. What I see as a recruiter and just as a human is me, 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 right? And Keisha, sorry, if you don't have a fully detailed profile, but don't receive high traction of recruiters or opportunities. Can you elaborate on your question, Keisha? Fully detailed profile. I think you're saying, what if I don't have a fully detailed profile, but don't receive high traction of recruiters or opportunities? It could be the words that you're putting in your profile. I'm happy to review it for you and kind of tell you what I think about it too. So, I think if you're not getting traction from recruiters, it's most likely that there's no keywords and it's not searchable. So I think that's the biggest thing. And you can actually see in the analytics in LinkedIn how many people are viewing your profile and like how that's going. And if you're not seeing enough, I would try testing. I would test out maybe your headline, putting keywords in there. And keywords could be anything from like your job title, like I said, just think about things that you would search for when you're looking for a job, right? And I think that would probably help. But again, I'm happy to review. So I have a couple more and would love to know, what are your first impressions with these folks? Like, would you want to work with this person? What does the post say about their outlook, their attitude, their personality? The person on the left said she was laid off again. You know, she said it, she ripped the Band-Aid off, but I love how she put, you know, here are a few things that she's good at. And she talks about how she's good at developing and maintaining strong client relationships, leading, managing, and coaching and training teams, brand and strategy development. Like, I love this because it's more than just like, hey, find me a job. It's more of, these are the skills that I bring to the table. And it just shows me, oh, okay, super quick, super easy. You know, I see on here, I'm a marketing recruiter, SEM, SEO. I'm like, oh, okay, this person looks like a good fit. Someone that is posting that I may not even be, you know, searching. I may not see her profile in a search, but she's right in front of me when I log into LinkedIn. I love that. And the person on the right, you know, help me help you. I'm looking for a job. The banner gives it away, but I'm spinning the narrative, not asking what you can do for me, but what can I do for you? Love that, right? Like, what are you doing in this space? What are you doing that's successful? You know, do I know anyone in the network that you want to talk about? And then I also included in here, you can see the engagement that these folks are getting. This person on the left, like 1,500 people liked her post. Like 190 people commented, 57 people reposted. Like, it's super easy. And it's great because it really tells you a lot about who she is and what skills she has. On the right, 17 people liked it. One person commented and one person reposted. You never know who's going to share. And I think, you know, I can say, how do these people make you feel compared to the ones on the previous slide? Like, which ones would you want to reach out to, right? And that's just, we're in this situation today with social media where you're either making a decision or you're judging someone quickly. You're making a decision, do I agree? Do I like this person? Do I agree with this person? Are they cool? Are they not? You know, are they smart? Like, we're always kind of judging people quickly. So keep that in mind with everything you post on LinkedIn, because just how you would do that with someone else, other people are doing that with you. Tom, you said, what are your thoughts on how many recommendations would not seem like overkill? I don't think, Tom, there is an overkill. I think like the more the merrier. And if you haven't gotten any recently, I think the recency is really cool. So, you know, you can have 20 of them, but if they're from like 10 years ago, it's like, okay, cool. You should probably ask some folks to kind of update that. So I think that's more important, and the relevancy. And also, if you're able to get different people that you've reported to, people you've worked with, people that, you know, you partnered on team, that way someone can look at your recommendations and really see full view of like, this is what it's like to work with Tom as a manager. This is what it's like to work with Tom as a peer. This is what it's like to work with Tom as a business partner. And I think that'll paint a really good picture. Now, I know people on here are like, oh my God, being visible online is scary. It really is, right? Especially in front of like all of your coworkers and like everyone that you've known. You never know who's looking, but you can start slow and still make an impact on your personal brand. This person on the left shared that one of the perks of being unemployed is all the free time. So she went to a volunteer orientation. How cool, right? Like, just share a quick picture. What are you doing? Awesome. It could even be like a book that you're reading, a class that you're taking, anything, but it's quick and easy. And it shows that she's unemployed, but she's actually still working on herself, and she's doing things, right? Could be on the second column. Genuine question. How do people apply for jobs before the internet? Did they have to like post their resume in a letter? That one cracked me up because when I started recruiting, we were using fax machines. But like, it can be just like a funny question. And then that comment, even though you're like, well, is it adding value? It's getting engagement, right? He's got 96 people that liked it, 223 comments, and 1 repost. So think about all the people that are seeing this post. And then the third one is a very easy, simple poll. And I will tell you that I see polls all the time. Some of them are like, "Do you work on Fridays? Are you off on Monday?" Like, it can be very, like, easy, just simple. Can you tell if a LinkedIn post was written by AI? And it garners engagement. And it's super easy to get people to just click yes, no, or whatever. So these are just some simple, easy ways that you can start just slowly posting. You don't have to write that long form post and share your life story if you're not comfortable, but this could be a way to easily segue it so that you're showing up in the algorithm and people start seeing you. All right, we're going to move on to career storytelling. And this is something that is another one of those topics like branding, where everyone's like, oh, yeah, career storytelling, just tell your story. But it's easier said than done, right? So, really, what a career story is, it's a cohesive narrative that highlights your professional journey, your key achievements, your challenges that you've overcame, like the skills that you've developed over the way. It's not just a list of job titles and duties, but more of a powerful tool for branding that helps paint a picture for people. And an easy way to create your story is to just probably brain dump, to be honest. List your key career moments. What are you proud of? What projects did you work on? What did you like get really excited for? Describe any obstacles that you overcame. There's so many obstacles that we face on a daily basis at work. Like, what did you overcome that you were so excited, right? I can give you one of mine real quick. I work my last corporate job. We were like the best known secret. No one knew who we were. We were an amazing company. We had great benefits. It was awesome. And I was like, guys, we need some recruitment marketing. It took me a year to get that project approved for them to finally say, yes, Gemma, you can do an Instagram. And I was like, okay. But I mean, I had to pitch that. And it's a free account. I had to pitch that for like a whole year, but I learned how to do it. I learned how to schedule posts. Like, I am not a social media marketer by any means, but that is one thing I'm really proud of because that is the legacy that I left in that company. They are still using a lot of that recruitment marketing today. They've expanded on it. They've really taken ownership of it. And it's just nice to see the impact that I made on that company, right? Spotlight your skills. Like I said, do you love data? Are you really good at presenting? Are you really good at having difficult conversations? Are you really good at giving constructive feedback? Are you really good at bringing people together in a room and getting them to work on one goal? Just think about the things that you may not see as very like super crazy skills, but I'm telling you, everyone is different, and what you are skilled at, somebody absolutely hates. For example, I don't like spreadsheets. I will admit that. I'm not a spreadsheet person. I will fill them out. I will put them together, but it is not my favorite thing to do. So, highlight that, right? Link your past to your future goals, right? What drives you? What do you want your career to look like? What projects excite you? Like, where do you want to add value? Keep it real and engaging. No one wants some robot. And like, I think especially since COVID, it's like we're all craving a human connection. And this is an easy way to bond with people because everyone has a story. Everyone has a story. Think elevator pitch length. I have definitely interviewed people and, they're telling me their story for like 20 minutes. I would say quick overview, keep it short, like a minute, you know, don't go all the way back to high school. I have to say, some people do. They're like, I was in high school and I graduated. It's cool. I trust you. You graduated high school. But really, is that the most like amazing accomplishment that you want to share? Share the best stuff, right? Like, share the stuff you want people to really take away. And when you get really good with this career story, this is going to answer your tell me about yourself. That's like, tell me about yourself, career story, bam. Like, it's like going to be like clockwork. So practice it, rehearse it, and don't feel it's going to change over time. You're going to get more comfortable talking about yourself over time. But I think these frameworks and things that you can kind of implement will help a lot when someone's like, all right, give me a deep dive of your resume, or all right, tell me about yourself. This will kind of answer that question. So I have some examples of career stories. You guys are going to get this presentation afterwards. I know it's a lot of text, but I wanted to give examples because all of that sounds really great, but it's like, how does it look? How does it sound? So I'll kind of go through a couple, but I have them for digital marketers, software developers, and other jobs as well. So Jordan, I'm a software developer with 7 years of experience specializing in cloud computing and SaaS solutions. I've successfully led the migration of legacy systems to the cloud, improving system efficiency by 40%. My strength lies in solving complex technical challenges, driving innovation, and recently I developed an application that streamlined internal processes, reducing operational costs by 25%. I'm seeking opportunities where I can contribute to cutting edge projects and lead a dynamic team towards achieving technological excellence. So he said it way better than I did. And this is his career story. But this is one of the things that, working with me, you can kind of create a career story. So, Alex is a digital marketing specialist with over 5 years of experience, increasing brand visibility and engagement for startups and tech companies. The next page kind of goes over like Sam's a finance manager with a decade of experience in optimizing financial strategies for multinational corporations. Taylor is a registered nurse with 8 years of experience in pediatric care. She's led initiatives that improve patient satisfaction scores by 30%, played a key role in a project that reduced medication errors by 15%. So is this helpful? Does this show you a little bit of how other people can kind of tell a story and how it doesn't have to be, well, my first job out of college, because that's often where people start, which is completely fine. Like I said, no one teaches this stuff, but I think this type of a storytelling can give you just so much more confidence and also showcase your skill set in a very quick, succinct way that someone hearing you was like, oh my God, wow, that's amazing. You sound great. So those are examples of career stories. There's another one with Sarah. She's an HR professional with 6 years of experience specializing in talent acquisition and employee development. She talks about what she's implemented strategies that reduce time to hire by 50%. So, I encourage you to think of not necessarily the tasks and the projects that you worked on, but what is the value that you brought, right? What process or training or initiative is your last job still using that you created? Because I'm sure there's something there that you did, right? And it could be a guide, it could be a worksheet, it could be anything, but what did you create? What was the problem that you saw, that you solved, that they're still using to this day? And I'm sure there's a lot of examples if you really kind of start thinking about it. But the importance of a career story, just to sum it up, builds personal connection. It connects you with your audience, whether it's a hiring manager, a network contact, a colleague. It makes you more memorable. It makes you more relatable. It also has a differentiation factor. In a competitive job market, your career story really differentiates you from other candidates by emphasizing your unique experiences and your perspectives. And it also provides you with clarity and confidence, because the more you tell your story, the more excited you'll get. And then the more you'll also be able to start thinking about, okay, what else do I want to do? What other things light me up? And what other things do I want to work on? And what do I want to solve for in the future? So it kind of gets your wheels turning, which I think is always good, because sometimes it's easy to sit there and be like, I don't know. Who am I? So this will kind of help with that. Okay, so to sum everything up that we just talked about, your personal branding action plan. These are things that you can do right away that will make such a big impact. Audit your online presence, Google yourself, see what comes up. If you don't want those, your Instagram pictures to be like, make sure your profile's private. Like, just Google yourself, because whenever someone's in a hiring process, it's usually the hiring managers. Some companies, it's the recruiters, but they are absolutely Googling you. Update your LinkedIn profile. Gave you those 5-minute tips. Just do it real quick, kind of look through it. And imperfect action is always better than inaction. Even if you just do one thing, completely cool. It's moving the needle in one direction, right? So don't feel overwhelmed and just take action on something you can do quickly. Define your career story. Engage with your industry online. Start connecting with folks if you haven't already. Start commenting. Start following, companies that you're interested in. Start reposting some articles that you see. Start posting polls or, things that you're doing. Request recommendations on LinkedIn. Super easy to do. A lot of the times people want to reciprocate. So, hey, I'll give you a recommendation, if you give me a recommendation, that always works. But honestly, don't be afraid to ask people for recommendations. People want to help people. So, don't be afraid to ask and start creating content consistently. Like I said, even if it's just once a week, you set a reminder on your phone every Monday, you're going to post, just keep coming and showing up. That's all you need to do. It could be one post a week, could be 2 posts a week. You can kind of increase it, but just start to show up online consistently. Now, what was y'all's biggest takeaway from that segment? Let's get a few shares either in the chat or, you can just speak out loud, whatever you feel comfortable with. But anyone have any like, oh, aha moments or things that they just didn't know before or didn't realize?
Well, one of the biggest things I didn't realize is how easily you can get left swiped by not being relevant to whatever position is available and not having the right keywords or the things that will draw the attention of a recruiter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, sometimes your summary can be too dull or either too out of focus.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out how to be in focus is one of the greatest challenges that I'm finding right now in this struggle of being relevant in today's job search.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm glad that you found that helpful because I think it's an eye opener to know how fast and people will never want to admit it, but it's fast. Like I remember when I started recruiting, I would read through the resume, it would take me like 2 minutes and my boss was like, "Oh, don't worry, in a couple months you're going to be like 3 seconds." And I've timed myself and I can go through a resume in 5 seconds, a LinkedIn profile in 2. And I think the biggest things that recruiters look for is always dates of employment and your job titles because they're always looking for recency and relevancy. But we'll kind of talk a little bit further in the presentation too on kind of how recruiters think and navigating the recruiting maze. So I think you'll feel a lot more confident as we go through this to kind of see ways that you can stand out and not get swiped so quickly. Does anyone else want to share?
Tim, I
I
think
can
you made a really, this is Tom. I think you made a great call out on, kind of reflecting on your past position, and things you were proud of that you really left behind that are still being implemented and, helping the company be successful. I think that's a really good call out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we can always forget about that sometimes we're pissed at, right? We're like, they're still using my training. But think about it as that's a legacy you left. You did your job, right? So, you know, everything has a start and an end. And reframe that instead of like, oh, I did that. No, you did that and they're still using it. That's how good it was. So tell other people about it. So I love that you got that from that. Anyone else want to share?
Is it relevant how old the experience is or how dated it is? Because that's one of the things I think I run into now, being that I'm on a slightly older side looking for position. I got over 20 some odd years of work experience and it's progressed over the years, but now I'm searching and it's like a lot of my accomplishment came in the mid part of my career and I stayed in one field so long to where is a long work history, but is a progressive. It was a progressive build to get to the point that I was at.
That's a really great question. I think it all depends on how you tell your story and, how you present the skills and the things that you've learned. I will say too that even though you accomplished something 10 years ago or 15 years ago, you probably are using those skills today, but it didn't seem like a huge accomplishment because it was new for you back then when you did it, right? So I would say relevancy and recency is usually like 5 to 10 years, depending on the position. There's going to be nuances. But I think, crafting your career story, I highly recommend, especially for those who have had a long career, is just do a brain dump. Take your resume and just try and remember have a Google Doc so you can constantly update it and just take a few minutes, do a brain dump. Okay, what did I do at these jobs? And I promise you, you'll probably see that you've accomplished more in these recent years than you think you have. Even if, you know, you're like, oh, well, I'm in a different position or I'm in a lower position or whatever the case is, there's nuggets in there that people often sell themselves short that I'm sure we could pull things from that. Because, you know, I do a lot of presentations and I do a lot of speaking engagements now, but I remember when I first did it, I was like, oh my God, this is huge. It was something I talked about where I was like, I gave a presentation. And now it's like I do it and I don't think about it, but it doesn't mean that I'm not utilizing those skills. It's just the way that your mind will kind of trick you into thinking about, oh, I accomplished this years ago, but you're still utilizing those skills today. So, you know, just kind of think through that. And I think the more recent and the more relevant, the better. But if you hired, you know, if you overhauled a department 20 years ago and it was such a big accomplishment, I think that's absolutely okay. Like there's no right or wrong, but I think, you know, you're just painting a picture and selling yourself to other people. And I think that's something to think about of like, okay, what have I done recently in the last 5 years that is relevant to this position and relevant to where I want to go in my career that will showcase that. Does that help?
I think my takeaway was that I know someone said this, I need to post on LinkedIn more, but I think this has helped me to kind of get the push that I needed because it is kind of scary. And yeah, so, but I think it's like inspired me to actually do it. And I like how it doesn't have to be like something super long or super deep, you know? I think
Yeah.
that really helped because I feel like I put pressure on myself and just, you know, a lot of people do that. So then it's like, oh no, it just feels like a lot. But I
Mhm.
think the sharing of, you know, the polls or the questions and even funny things, I think that'll be like helpful for consistency and then also like to actually do it. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
I'm glad that helped. I felt the same way. I was like, oh, I don't want to post. I don't want people to see what I'm saying. It could even be quotes, motivational quotes, and like whatever fuels your fire, because I think showing up makes your profile it just stands out a little bit more because you'll be in everyone's feed, right? So thank you for sharing that. And yeah, Keisha said that so many good gems. She liked that mentioned how to brand and represent yourself online to both recruiters, hiring managers, and your audience. The job market is tough, but receiving feedback and advice helps. I mean, honestly, it is really tough, but I think I commend all of you for showing up for yourselves today because that's not easy to do. Do you have to be active on LinkedIn even when not looking for a job? I think so, to be honest, because if you're not creating content, you're getting left behind. So even if you're not looking for a job, you still should be networking because you never know when someone's going to tap you on the shoulder and be like, hey, I have this position. I think you'd be great for it. Right. Another thing is most of the people I hire do not come from applicants. I'm actually poaching them. And the reason why is, unfortunately, and this is just this is not a, you know, this is a statistic of like my own experience. I'd say like 90% of the applicants are not a fit for the job. They're just like, especially an easy apply, they're just quick posting. So if you're not posting when you're on LinkedIn, then it's like you're not active. We're not going to see you. You're not going to be shown. So I think it's always good to just add that to your repertoire of like, okay, I'm just going to post, like I said, once, twice a week. Resharing is also posting. So if you see something and you're like, oh, this person got a new job or they're looking for a job, repost it. That's a post. So don't think too hard about it. But I definitely think showing up consistently will help. Love this examples of the career stories. That's great. Love how I mentioned important recommendations can be 100%. You will, I don't look at them, but I'm telling you guys, hiring managers, they will just pine through that with a fine tooth comb. And then yes, I will be sending a replay of the presentation too. So glad that that was helpful. We're moving on to the next segment and it's called Modern Job Search Tactics. So navigating the recruiting maze. Yeah, it can be a maze. And it's essential to demystify the process and align your strategy with what truly matters. So by embracing these insights, you can really refine your job search approach, making it more effective and aligned with the realities of modern recruitment. So I'll just kind of start. The crazy AI, ATS, going to reject you, blah, 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 scanning. That is a myth. That is not real. I don't know why people keep saying that. I think it's because they want to just blame something. But I like recruiters, we use ATSs, but they're more of databases for resumes, a place to capture like applicants, but they are always reviewed by an actual person. There's not some scary AI that's automatically rejecting it. It doesn't, I think like you can't, I have like automatically rejected, you can set parameters, and it's usually like if we're not sponsoring anyone or we don't want any out of the country applicants, but that is as far as it goes. Even when there's pre-qualifying questions and you don't, match all of those, your application is still there, and it just shows, this candidate has 3 of the 5 like qualifications requested, right? But someone is constantly reviewing. Something that other people don't know as well, interviews are done in batches, meaning recruiters will not introduce new candidates if the job is already in first round interviews or second round interviews or in finals. So they're done in batches. So you always want to apply quickly and just know that if a role has been open for a couple of weeks, they're either probably just starting their interview process or they're already getting through those first round of interviews. So sometimes, you might apply for something and they already have first round interviews set up. You're not going to get a response until all of those interviews are done. Recency and relevancy, like I said, are number one. Job titles, relevant work skills, like those are number one. Those are always what people are doing. Recruiters are always playing the matching game. Context and clarity over creativity. You might think like, oh, I'm such a great writer, which you probably are, but I always give this advice to my clients. You need to explain what you're doing or what you did and everything in your resume and even on your LinkedIn profile, like you're talking to a teenager, because recruiters are not experts in the work that you're doing. They are the gatekeepers. They're the people that are pre-qualifying. So if you use a lot of industry jargon, or if you're, just trying to be really creative with how you're explaining it, it might confuse a recruiter rather than empower them to ask questions and like think, oh, okay, I think this person is saying what I think they're saying. So you want to just make it as simple and straightforward as possible. Another thing, referrals are always favored, always, no matter what. I have literally gotten frustrated as a recruiter because at the end of the day, the referral is hired, has less experience, than the other candidates in the pipeline. But the thing is that hiring managers never want to make a bad decision. They're afraid of making a bad decision, and they think if it's a referral, they're going to stay, they're going to be, they want to work here, like they already know someone. So one thing that you can take away from that is when you're networking, people oftentimes get referral bonuses. Instead of, here's my resume, can you send it to someone? Ask them, hey, how are you doing? I would love to work for your company. Do you like it? Do you guys do referral bonuses? Can you send me a link so I can apply? I think that will probably go a little bit further than expecting someone to take your resume and send it away for something else. Another big thing is understanding bias in the interview process. We all have biases. I've done several implicit and explicit bias training, and people just don't know that they have this bias, especially untrained hiring managers. So just recognize that and try and see if you can overcome that bias, right? And the bias is always, and there's lots of different trainings on bias, and there's a lot of different things, but a lot of it is, sometimes, to be completely honest, it can be, they have a bad experience with someone at XYZ company. You come from XYZ company. They're like, oh my gosh. So I think if you just kind of have your career story set and just anticipate any roadblocks or any challenges that someone would have when reviewing your resume and overcoming that up front, that will take you a long way. Soft skills weigh heavily. You can be the most qualified person on earth, But if you are not nice or you're not polite or you're just, you know, a little arrogant or you're just, you know, you're not gelling with the team, you're never going to get that job. I'm just going to be completely honest. I've literally begged hiring managers, please hire this person. They have exactly what you're looking for. Oh, but they just don't seem, you know, approachable. So just think about that, right? Is it legal? No. But does it happen? Yes. We're human, right? And they're human too. That's the end of the day. They are human. Recruiters are human. They all have jobs to do. They're all just trying to do their job. So the more you can make a recruiter's job easier, the better it will be for you in the process. Told you guys I was going to tell you guys everything. The job search success toolkit. Okay, so I've heard this a lot, especially in recent, like the recent months, that, oh my God, this job market is so hard and it's so different. It's so different. So it might feel like uncharted territory, but the truth is the core of the recruitment process really hasn't changed. What shifted is the approach that we need to take to secure those interviews, because recruiters are swamped with applications. Hiring managers are setting the bar so high. They want unicorns. We call them purple squirrels. Our job is just to make it easier for them. So let's cut through the noise, right? So applications, these are just questions that I get all of the time that I wanted to just set the record straight. Ignore the number of applications and apply regardless, because there could be 1,000 applicants and 30 of them are actually qualified for the job. So just apply. If you don't apply, you don't have a shot, right? One tip I have for you guys, if that are actively job searching, focus on jobs that are listed in the past week, set job alerts, and check every day within 24 hours, because early bird gets the worm. You want to be in that first batch of interviews. Cover letters. People think they're outdated, but I think that they always are an extra thing that stands out. Always customize your cover letter to demonstrate your fit, share your narrative, particularly when your resume doesn't clearly align. So if your job title is funky, or you did all of that, you know, the job that you're applying for, you're like, I've done this all, but it just doesn't look like it on your resume. Put that in your cover letter. It could be, hey, I see, you know, I would love to apply for this position. You know, these are the accomplishments. These are the things that I did in my role. I know that my resume may look a little, you know, like just not aligned, but I would love a chance to talk to you further to kind of discuss. The goal is to get a call back. So anything that you can do to just ease their confusion, answer their questions, it will help a lot. And who reads cover letters? Hiring managers. Hiring managers read cover letters. I will make sure there's no typos, just make sure that they make sense. But hiring managers read cover letters and resumes word by word. Email outreach. So LinkedIn recently, in the last like 6 months, has changed the way that their in-mail boxes work. Now they're using like the Gmail strategy, where there's a focused inbox and then there's like an other. A lot of people are going into the other. So my quick tip is, after you apply, connect with the hiring manager, recruiter on LinkedIn, and then use an email finding tool to directly email them rather than in-mail them or message them. Why? Because everyone needs to respond to an email. They're held accountable to respond to their email, right? If you get ghosted, you could be like, hey, this company sucks. They never respond to emails. The managers on Glassdoor are going to be like, who got this email and didn't respond? So just know that email might be a way that you're landing in their inbox, and they're like, you're going to be seen, because everyone at work has to check their email. So that's a quick tip for you guys. I've actually experienced it where people have emailed the president of the company. And what does the president do? He trickles it down. He's like, hey, this person looks good. They took initiative. You guys have to call them. So keep that in mind. You might think it's bold. You might think it's crazy. I've seen it work even for interns. Gen Z, they do not have any type of qualms about rubbing people the wrong way. They are bold and it works for them, which, you know what? Hey, you got to do what you got to do. And I think the biggest thing is stay sane, you know, celebrate small victories, maintain your motivation. Even if you like apply for a couple jobs, like that's a win. It is hard, and it's hard to keep your mental health in check. So regularly step away from your job search to recharge. Balance is key to maintaining mental and emotional well-being. So yeah, those are great things. And then in the chat, you get messages from recruiters with lower level positions or lower salaries too high. How can you present yourself so the recruiters can match you better? Is your profile up to date? Is your profile fully fleshed out? I think if your profile is fully fleshed out, then an experienced recruiter will see, okay, this person's not a fit or this person's a fit. So I think that is the best way to do it. You don't have to put your entire resume on your LinkedIn profile, but I think even just some, your job titles and then a few bullets on each of like accomplishments and things that you want to showcase, that can tell the difference of someone that's an individual contributor versus like a lead or a manager. Keisha said she finds it hard to network sometimes on LinkedIn. Many people don't respond, even when asking for a coffee chat to learn about the role or a company. Any suggestions? Some people are not responsive on LinkedIn, and sometimes they may not be seeing your messages. So I think don't get discouraged. Keep trying, right? We never know who is looking, who is online. That's like the unfortunate part. You just never know. And people are so like busy and it's like they have these daily habits where they're like, I'm going to scroll LinkedIn for an hour and then I'm going to go to Instagram and like whatever. So I think email might be a good way. But don't give up. Don't give up. If they're not going to respond to you, they weren't going to be your person anyway, or maybe they'll respond to you later, right? But don't give up and don't get discouraged. Yeah, great suggestion on reaching out to employers, the company, see if they offer referral bonuses. A lot of them do, and everybody wants to make money. And then you put your Instagram on private. Yep. My stuff's always been on private. So that's good points too. Awesome. And okay, cool. So resume and cover letter mastery. So write your resume for the reader. Think about the reader in mind, right? Recruiters skim, but hiring managers read every word on resumes and cover letters. So some key tips and action items for y'all. Use common searchable words, tailor your resume, and tailoring is a little bit more than just like throwing the job that you're looking for, like seeking for this position. Like tailor your resume a little bit to the accomplishments and like to the job that you're applying for. Visual appeal matters. People always ask, should I put my picture? Should I not put my picture? It doesn't matter. I think the picture is fine. Sometimes it can include bias because you're showing them your face, but honestly, we can just do a quick Google search. It doesn't really matter. Also, I've seen like really pretty and creative resumes. All that really matters is the content. Like, I just want to know at the end of the day, can you do the job? So honestly, visual appeal matters. If it's clean, if you want to look at it and read it, if you give it to your brother's cousin's mother and they don't even want to read it because it's just so word heavy, take that as a sign that you just got to spruce it up a little bit. Keep it concise and relevant. Avoid word salad. Word salad is when you say a lot of words that don't say anything and you're just like, what? Like that's like that congressman speak is the word salad. So try and avoid that. And ask for opinions and update often. One of the best pieces of advice I can give you is to give your resume to someone that you know and trust that doesn't know what you're looking for. And ask them to look at your resume and say, hey, what do you think I'm trying to do with this resume? What kind of job do you think I'm going to get? What kind of, like, what do you get from this? Because I think if you give it to someone that has no idea what you're applying for, or they haven't seen it, you can get their honest opinion and see from another perspective, because sometimes we're so close to it that we don't know what to change, what to do, what to think. So hope that helps. And then we'll kind of go into what are recruiters looking for. So this is an actual job posting that I have that I'm hiring for right now. And I just broke it down into little squares so that you could see. And I will tell you, what recruiters are always looking for is what you'll do and who you are. They're always going to be focused on what the responsibilities of are the job and what the qualifications are. Because fun fact, a lot of companies, especially publicly traded and big organizations that have to abide by laws, they cannot hire someone that doesn't meet the qualifications of the job. So if it says that you have to have a bachelor's degree and that person doesn't have a bachelor's degree, they can't hire you, right? Or if it says 3 to 5 years in media agency, and let's just say that the person that applied has 1 year, but a candidate that was in the interview process had 4 years, and that person sues, they need to be able to show why they hired that person, and they're going to get sued. So just keep that in mind to look at the job requirements, because that's all I look at. When I'm recruiting, I look at what are the absolute things, like the absolute things that we need, and what is the person actually going to be doing, and has the candidate done those things? So I'll kind of walk you through this exercise. In this job, what am I looking for? I'm looking for a project manager that has 3 to 5 years in agency, media agency experience, that has experience developing multimedia platforms and working in media platforms, and creates client-facing decks. So out of this entire job description, those are like the bullets that I'm looking for, okay? So these are the messages that I've received. Again, not to put anyone on blast, but I want you guys to see, because I hear all of the time, well, I'm messaging all of these people and I'm getting ghosted. So we can just kind of look through these quickly. You know, and I want you to think about, what do you think? Would you want to respond to these messages based on what I just told you, what I'm looking for? Do they look like a good fit, or do they look like they didn't even look at the job posting? Right? And what would make these messages better? So I'm looking for a project management role. I'll kind of walk through these quickly. Love her subject. Client project management role, hire me. Cute, direct. I was like, oh, I'm going to open this. And she goes on to tell me she hopes I'm having a great day. She's interested in the client project management position. I know I would be a great fit based on my experience as a senior account manager. My thought is, how would you be a great fit if you're not a project manager, right? Is that is that what y'all are thinking too? That's just honest, right? And then she goes into, I love my current job. The company knows I'm a high valued employee. I was invited to the Winner's Circle 2024. I was just given a raise. But then she says, I've been trying to move up for over a year, but there's a long list of employees who've been waiting. I want to be loyal, but I need to think about what's best for me to expand my skills. And I'm just like, honey, TMI, like TMI. I just feel like, I'm like, are you like, I get where she's coming from, but it just shows me like, okay, are you loyal? But then you're looking, it's just too many questions, too many things. It's like, okay, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I didn't reply to her. Maybe I'll reply to her after this message, but I didn't reply to her. The second one, this is directly from LinkedIn. She's a lead clinical pharmacist, right? Hi, I hope you're doing well. I'm interested in the role you posted, client project manager. Based on my experience as a lead project manager, that's the first thing that caught my eye. She's not a lead project manager. She's a lead clinical pharmacist, right? I didn't even have to click on her profile to see that that wasn't a fit. The next person, number 3, project coordinator with a background in film, television, and video production. Okay, hope you're doing well. She applied for the role. Based on my experience with a background in film, television, and video production, I could be a good fit. If y'all remember, what do I need? Media experience, media platform, decks, right? For those of you that aren't in marketing or don't know, film, television, and video production is very different from digital media and marketing. So my thought is, she could probably have those skills, but that's not what she showcased here. So not going to reach out to her. Someone applied, last person, customer success. She's a customer success manager. I know what customer success is nothing to do with project management. If y'all don't know, it's a very different job. Sometimes it's sales oriented, sometimes it's client like experience oriented, but very rarely is it project oriented. And if it was, that's something that she should have showcased in here, but she didn't. She just said, I believe I could be a good fit. Are you open for a quick chat? So I just wanted to showcase these so that you guys can see the perception and the real messages of what I get. And if you're sending messages, think about that, right? Think about what you're saying in the message and think about what would make these better. So I'm going to show you messages that I actually like and would love to see, what do you think about these? Would you respond? And what makes these different than the previous? So the first message, the woman is a project manager, clear as day. Hi, I see you're hiring now. I've applied for the open project management position, curious about next steps. We could set up a meeting, discuss the open role. What do you think? You don't have to be very like wordy. She's a project manager. She applied. Cool. I would reach out to her. The second person, she's a client services account manager. And her subject line, you made me smile. Your LinkedIn headline's the best. It truly made my day. I want to chat with you regarding the client project management role, which I applied. Even if I'm not the right person, I just wanted to know you spread some joy today. That's a really nice message. It was a really nice thing to wake up to, right? So just think about that. Humanize. It doesn't have to be very professional and vague and robotic. Like, you can be yourself. This is one that a recruiter that I'm friends with actually sent me, because I actually did ask everyone to kind of let me know, like, can you send me messages that you replied to? This person said, I want to shoot you a quick message. I applied for a media role at this company. Since I'm looking to relocate, would you be the best person to connect to? I noticed there were lead roles and senior associate roles. I just want to make sure I'm applying to the best matching role. This person, you can tell they actually looked on the website and, oh, they're interested, right? That is essentially what the recruiter is thinking on the other side. Are you really interested, or are you just sending me a random message? And then this last person, this is for another role that I'm hiring for, but I loved it. So I wanted to include it in here. He's like, I just came across your posting of head of client strategy. I think I'd be a very strong candidate for the role. And then he goes into his experience. I spent the last 10 years focusing on XYZ. My focus in the last several roles were blah. Like, gives me the information so that I don't have to click on his profile. I'm looking and I can make a decision. Oh, is this guy, like, does he understand the job? Did he apply? Does he have the skill set? I'd love to chat with you about the role and share more experience about my background and skill set that I believe will set me apart from the rest of the candidates who might be working with. So just to give you guys like multiple examples of how you don't have to write a whole paragraph. You don't have to be very detailed, but just think about the tonality, think about, you know, the messaging, think about the humanization, the personalization in it. And just sometimes it's like kind to just tell someone that they spread joy. So hope that helps. So what is your biggest takeaway for that segment? Does anyone have any takeaways they want to share? Any aha moments? Feel free to, you know, say it out loud, put it in the chat. Anything that anyone's surprised about or hasn't heard before is just like, wow.
Well, one of the biggest things, this is Willie again.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that I'm seeing is that tailoring the conversation to be more in line with whatever the job posting is, it is helpful. But sometimes in some cases, like even with some of the people who say, I think I might be a good fit, is no confidence in it because they're not seeming knowledgeable about what they're applying for.
Yeah.
And I'm knowledgeable of some of the things that I'm applying for, but at the same time, I don't think I'm using the correct lingo or the correct correct verbiage to gain the attention of the recruiter. And that's one of the things that seem to be plaguing me in my job search or even in my career search and furthering my career as a project manager. What am I not saying that's enticing that recruiter? Because some of the job postings I'm seeing and some of the things that I'm reading and actually doing are right in line with what I've been doing for the last 10 years.
I think an easy way to know what really it's looking at the responsibilities or what you'll be doing in that role and then showcasing your skills. So if you're a project manager and you send me a note and you say, hey, I'm interested in this project management role, I think I'd be a great fit because for the last XYZ years, I've actually managed this many projects, worked on, you know, this many, like worked in these media platforms, just pulling things that the recruiter would be looking for to hire that person. And you can find that information in the roles and responsibilities, but most importantly, in the requirements for the job. So if you're going to send a message to someone and you want to tailor it, look at the requirements of the job. If it says, you know, someone needs to manage multiple projects simultaneously and you're a project manager, tell me how many projects you manage at a time, you know, and it could be something super quick. It could be, hey, I'm a project manager. I work at a fast-paced environment. I've managed up to, you know, 20 projects at a time, but just give me something that will show me or other recruiters that you read the job description and that, you know, that you are a fit. Because at the end of the day, recruiters our job is just to fill the role. We want to find the best candidate for the role. That's our job. And if you can make our job easier by pulling the things that we're looking for and just saying, hey, I do all of these things and I've done these things and I would love to talk to you about it. And honestly, like that, it's just that simple, right? Like making their job easier, because you don't know how many times we're all doing happy dances because someone lands on our lap that fits the job exactly, and we can do other things with our lives. So just think of it that way, because really it's that simple. It's literally, what are they looking for? And do I have it? And how can I tell them that I have it? So I think that's like the biggest thing. And Sarah said, I think knowing you don't have to be too wordy or give your whole experience and message to the recruiter. Yeah, keep it on brand and be quick, but just make sure, like, what are you, think about it like this. If someone were to message you that, would you want to respond? Right. And I think an easy exercise that that helped me get better is I would look at messages that I would get, and I would think to myself, what made me respond to this and what made me skip over this? And it could be any emails that you get, right? Like, it doesn't even have to be like job related emails. It could be just emails from people trying to sell you something or retailers or whatever. But think about what subject lines kind of make you intrigued enough to click. What messages are you more open to reading? And like I said, send them to other people and see, would you guys open this? What do you think about this? Like, and just ask someone, hey, I'm applying for this job. If I send you this message, would you be open and interested in talking to me? Because the goal is really to just get in front of that person and say, hey, I meet the requirements and I'm interested in this job. So just keep it simple. I'm interested in this job and these are the requirements I have, and this is why you should talk to me. And yeah, I'm glad that you find it interesting how people reach out differently and seeing the recruiter's point of view. AI is useful, and I think that there are really good ways to prompt AI. I've actually gotten really good at it. So if y'all are interested in that, I'm more than happy to do like another little training on AI, because sometimes it's hard. It's hard to come up with these things. And like I said, even if you just take a little bit of this and just do a little tweak, imperfect action is better than nothing. Okay. And yes, moving right on. So easy and effective networking. So crafting genuine connections, that is the biggest piece of networking, right? So at the heart of networking is just the human connection, encouraging a shift from a self-serving mindset to one of mutual respect and genuine engagement. Really showing interest in other people's careers, consistently practicing gratitude. All of this can really enhance and impact your networking efforts. And really remember that the essence of networking lies in the quality of your connections and not the quantity, right? You can have like 10,000 followers, but if you've never talked to any of them, how can you expect them to lean on you or reach out and tell you about a job or be a sponsor for you, right? So one of the most underutilized things that made such a difference in my career is informational interviews. Now, I know y'all have heard this before. Everyone throws around informational interviews. However, I have countless stories of how I have gotten jobs just by really being curious. There was a time in my career about maybe 8 or 9 years ago where I started reaching out to all the people that I know that had been recruiters that had transitioned to more HR generalist type roles. And I was like, is recruiting a career? Like, is this what I want to do? And I just didn't know. I was getting approached by, other companies trying to go into HR. I'm certified in HR, and I was like, would I want to do this? So I reached out to people and I was like, hey, I see that you've, transitioned from recruiting to HR. I'm kind of in this midst of trying to find out what I want to do next. I would love to chat with you and just learn more about you. And as someone stated earlier, not everyone's going to take you up on it. But even if like you reach out to 10 people and one person takes you up on it, that one person, y'all need one person, right? I have a client that was reaching out. She had no experience in UX design. She was an administrative assistant. And she started reaching out to UX designers. They were like, oh, yeah, work on this graphic design, take these courses. And then when a role came up, they actually invited her to interview for it without her knowledge, and she got the job. And like the role on paper was like, you need 5 years of experience and blah blah blah, and they downgraded it for her, right? Like these things happen, but they will never happen if you're sitting at home just applying for jobs and doing the same thing over and over again. So reach out, personalize your requests. You know, people love to talk about themselves, but aim to learn and not to solicit a job directly. I think that's the mistake that a lot of people make. I get that all of the time. People are like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Can you find me a job? And, you know, it's just, you want to think about, how am I being perceived, and would I want someone to reach out to me like that, right? The hidden job market. I don't know if y'all have heard this term or if you've heard it thrown around. I've heard it a lot recently. It's a funny little thing, hidden job market, but really a lot of positions are filled through referrals or connections before they're advertised. Usually before a hiring manager even opens a position, they're already talking to their team. Hey, do you guys know somebody? Hey, we're going to be needing this. Who do you think? And they're asking for connections. So, you know, I know a lot of people have been relying on recruiters and connecting with recruiters. I think it would be better to just reach out to people that may be your future coworkers. And expressing your enthusiasm and fit for the company proactively can lead to unexpected opportunities. And Ellie, go ahead. What's your question?
Well, I just wanted to mention what you just said about like the hidden job market. So I just was talking to an executive recruiter this morning, and she said the company that she was recruiting for actually never posts online. She said that they just do all sourcing through recruiters and different agencies. So I thought that was really interesting. I've heard about that, but I didn't know it was actually like a common practice. So that was helpful to know, because she was like, if you didn't reach out to me, I would have never known that you existed, because you wouldn't have been able to apply. So now I'm going to be talking to them. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually have a few clients right now, my staffing agency clients, that they don't have a recruiter or an HR person, and I'm their recruiter basically. So it's the same thing. They don't have the role posted on their website. The role I have posted on my on LinkedIn is their role, but they are not recruiting for it at all. So that is such a great point. And you just never know, right? You just never know when someone is, you know, and honestly, I've even heard from hiring managers where they'll see someone on LinkedIn and they're like, you know what? I don't know this person, but I love what they say online and I think they'd be great. You know, that happens, right? Like how many times do we follow influencers or TikTokers and like we all know them by name and you send it to your friends. So this is the same thing. So I love that you brought that up. And keep in touch with people. I will admit I'm not the best at this. I'm getting better. Especially, and I try, but no one's perfect. So, if you're not nurturing, it's okay, but keep in touch with people through comments, occasional check-ins. Hey, how are you doing? Consistency shows genuine interest and keeps you top of mind. You never know who is going to be looking for a job, who has gotten promoted since you last worked with them, or who remembers you, even if you walked past them every day to the break room 5 years ago. Oh, that person was really nice. And you know what? She did a great job. And I just saw that, she's looking for a job. She's open to work and we're hiring. I get past resumes and applicants all the time just from the most random sources. So you just never know who is who's watching you, right? It sounds kind of creepy, but whose radar are you on? You just never know. And be kind and be human, approach each interaction with empathy and kindness, recognizing that networking is about building genuine relationships. It's not just transactional. And I think that will make it more fun. And it will also kind of take away the scariness too. And always express gratitude for their time and insights. I feel like that's always a key, but some people don't. I can't even tell you how many people are just cool, look for me a job, okay, bye. I'm just hi. So just think about that, right? Everyone is human. People have bad days, people have good days, but just remember that people are human. And I think it's easy, especially in today's day and age, where we are always talking to screens. We're not talking to humans, we're not talking to people, and it's easy to forget that. And then I just wanted to share, quickly, before I take questions, some of the success stories from people that I've worked with. And I hope this gives you some confidence and gives you, just some inspiration that things can change, and no matter where you are in your job search right now and how dire it may seem, like it's not going to be like this forever. So Lindsay was a house manager. So she was like a nanny and housekeeper, right, for over 10 years, so over a decade. And she wanted to transition to a corporate position, but she felt like she had no skills. Like I met with her and she's like, I have no skills. I've literally been watching children and doing regular household stuff for the last 10 years. I was like, no, that's not true. Everyone has skills. And through our work together, she really was able to redefine her skill set, uncover her inherent strengths, and we worked together to shape her unique career narrative, enabling her to not only secure a corporate role that she thought was out of reach, but then she also recently got promoted and she's been at that company for less than a year. So I think that was so awesome. And I was like, yeah, how cool. You may not think that you have anything to give for that job that you want. You might think that you are worlds away from where you are to the job that you want to get. I will tell you that is not true. That is not true. Owen is another person that I worked with. He was in a tough spot. He was working in a high stress job. It didn't pay well. He was like, I'm working too hard for the little peanuts they're giving me. Even as a manager, he was really unhappy and desperate for a change, but he didn't know what to do. He didn't know where to go from here. And by teaming up together, we built a plan for him to meet new people through coffee chats. These conversations open the doors, and he actually got a completely new job in a field that he didn't even know about when we first started talking about it. So he used his informational interviews as a way to see what's out there and, tell me about your job. This looks interesting. I've never heard of this before. And he loves it. And he didn't think that that was possible. And, everything is possible. And Jessica came to me. She was at her wit's end. She was crying every day after work. We've all been there. I've been there. She was exhausted. She was applying for hundreds of jobs, and she was just using old job search techniques and feeling misled by experts. She was like on YouTube every day, and she's like, I'm doing all of these things. And she was just done. She was tired, and she was like, I'm just going to move to another country and sell ice cream. Like, true story. Together, we clarified her career narrative. She was selling herself short. She wasn't highlighting. She was so tired. It was coming through in her interviews, right? So we really shifted it. We refined her approach. We honed her networking skills. And the shift was so dramatic that she went from hearing nothing to juggling several interviews like very quickly, and eventually secured a job and increased her salary by $20,000. And she was like amazed, like, oh my God, why didn't I hire you sooner? So I just show you these stories to show you that you can make any type of change. It's possible if you have the right strategy and the right tools, right? So don't get discouraged. Don't feel like it's dire. Oh my God, the world is crashing. It might feel like that, especially if you're on LinkedIn, but there are success stories out here. So, anyone have any takeaways just from the networking? I know we've talked a little bit about it and, there's been some there, but anyone have anything quickly that they want to share? Just want to be cognizant of time too, but what was your big takeaways on networking? Do you guys feel more comfortable, I guess, with the little tidbits that I shared to like reach out to people and just kind of start, networking if you haven't already? I saw some head shakes. So, okay. Y'all are feeling good. Cool. Yes. Awesome. Great. Well, great. Well, we've covered so far is just a nibble of what I help my clients do. I hope you guys found it super informative, but this is just like a little scratch of the surface. And I just want to ask, do you mind if I share with you how I can help you put these strategies into action so that you can get more interviews and land a new job faster? Would it be cool if I shared that with y'all? Okay, awesome. So let me introduce my program. It's the Job Search Accelerator. So I created this program after meeting with several job seekers and what they want. And I'm all about taking action, seeing results quickly. So with this, I would love to dive deeper and implement the strategies that we've learned today with personalized guidance and more of a done with you type of way. So if you're like oh my gosh, this is a lot, but it's a little, and I feel kind of nervous about it, you are not alone, and I can help you walk this journey together. And we can do it probably in just 3 sessions. Usually what I'll do is we'll tailor your toolkit, we'll do a whole audit, we'll kind of look through your resume, your LinkedIn profile, we'll kind of iron out your career story into a narrative that stands out. We'll talk through networking strategies, get you those coffee chats, open these doors to the hidden job market, and then interviewing is such a big thing. I've interviewed thousands of people, I've negotiated salaries, too many to count, so that's definitely something that we can kind of work through. But the biggest portion is just transitioning from learning to doing, and propelling yourself towards the job that you deserve with the guidance that I'll be here every step of the way. So what you'll get working with me is 3 personalized one-on-one sessions focused on applying what you've learned to your unique situation. Everyone is in different areas. Some of you guys need resume help. Some of you guys need cover letter help. Some of you guys haven't touched a LinkedIn profile in years. So it's really going to be personalized to where you are today. And I'm all about taking action. So you'll have actionable steps after each session, and then direct email support access from me between sessions for any questions that pop up along the way. So that's what you can expect. And just to let you know, I typically charge $300 an hour. So with these 3 sessions, that would be $900, which is already a killer deal, but I love to over deliver and I'm very extra. So I have some more. And basically the bonuses. So I am bonusing a motivation and confidence booster webinar. This is an interactive session that's designed to really arm you with a sense of purpose and practical strategies to bolster your self-assurance. Confidence is the biggest thing. It's like this energy that people feel when you're not confident. And let's face it, the job market is really overwhelming. It's disheartening. A lot of people are feeling like they're not confident. They're like, am I doing things right? So this is just a great way for you to just get reinvigorated. Another bonus that I'm offering is an interview mastery workshop. Because mastering interviews and negotiation techniques is key to not just landing a job, but securing a position, and also just skills that you'll take with you for the rest of your life, honestly, for the rest of your career. I'm very interactive, mock interviews. You'll get feedback from other recruiters. It's really cool. It's this workshop that I host. So you'll get that bonus for a live interview workshop. And so the question, right? How much is the investment to get more interviews and land a job faster? So, typically I would charge $300 per session. The bonus, the first one, the motivation and confidence booster, is $99. And the interview mastery workshop is $197. So this is $1,196. So $1,196 you're getting in value, but I'm giving it to you guys for $450. And there's 5 spots for this offer. It expires on Monday at midnight. So yeah, get on it quick. The catch, there is no catch, but you do have to act fast because the cart is closing on Monday at midnight. And after that, the price is going to double. And I just tell you that just to be transparent. So would love to help y'all out. I know that, this is a time. So I'm going to put a link in the chat. Basically, to get started, you would just complete your registration. And then from there, you can expect to get a calendar invite from me, some onboarding paperwork, and we can get you started and beginning to get more interviews so that you can land a job faster. So I just posted that in the chat. And I just want to end with, I'm curious, what questions do y'all have for me, if any? Does anyone have any questions? I've left some time for Q&A. Feel free to drop it in the chat or pop on and just ask. Anyone have any questions? Okay, so I want to ask, since y'all didn't ask me a question, I'll ask you a question. How many of you guys have heard any of the stuff that I talked about today? Is any of this information new to you, or have you heard all of this before?
I've heard quite a bit of this. I do a lot of hiring myself in a senior management role, but I think refreshers and, I'm just recently in job search myself, but really haven't done anything with it at this point. So I think there were a lot of great call outs, Gemma. I think having someone like yourself is super important for people. You shouldn't look at the total fee of $1,200 or whatever, but really it's about getting the right job that you can get excited about, that really do match your skills and where you want to go. And I think it's hard to do without the help of someone else. So I personally appreciate your time and education today. I think it was great.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you so much. I'm glad it was helpful. And you're so right. Like, yeah, it's nice to get a different perspective and just from a recruiter perspective, because there's just so much out there. Allie, you too, you've heard some before. Great to hear more perspectives. Yeah, and I will send you guys the slides. You can expect that later today. But anyone have any additional questions, anything that you'd like, since you have me live, that you've just been thinking about or you need help with?
Gemma, is this your only package that you're offering just to kind of keep it clean
Yeah.
and how you're doing things? You don't
Yep.
do like a finder's fee or anything like that, a percentage of salary?
No, I don't do a percent.
Okay,
Not for this. Yep. Not for this.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, great.
Yeah. That was a great question. That was a great question. Well, I appreciate everyone's time. The link is in the chat. And if you need anything at all, if you have any questions, if you felt like this was really helpful, I'd love to hear your feedback. If there's anything that you'd like for me to cover in the future, please let me know. Would be more than happy to cover, AI prompting or interviewing or anything that you're struggling with in your job search. Please don't hesitate. I'm more than willing to help. And yeah, I really appreciate y'all's time. I know this was a lot, but happy leap year. And yeah, I will catch you guys later. Thank you so much.